evangelism is about telling your story. That is what it is about. It's about telling your story and tying it to God's story. And in our previous video, we started off by looking at this woman, the unlikely evangelist, the Samaritan woman, recorded for us in John's Gospel, chapter 4. And I want to highlight how Jesus begins to tell this woman her story. How Jesus begins to reveal to her that her big challenge is not physical water, it's not drinking water. Her big challenge is that her heart's deepest longings need to be satisfied in God. And Jesus begins to turn every stone. He leaves no stone unturned. He begins to ruffle the feathers in her life, and he goes to the heart of the issue. And that's what happens when we experience the living Christ. When we encounter him, he begins to tell us about ourselves. Sometimes we approach him and we think that our issue, like this woman did in verse 11, we think that our issue is water. Listen to how she's talking to the Lord. "Sir," said the woman, "you don't even have a bucket and the well is deep. So where do you get this living water?" Jesus had told her about living water previously. And then the woman goes on to say, "You aren't greater than our father Jacob, are you? He gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did his sons and livestock." So you can already see that this woman isn't quite there yet. She thinks that Jesus is the one who has an issue. She thinks that Jesus is the one who is off. What is he doing looking for water without a bucket? What is he doing in a well, talking of living water, and he doesn't have the tools of the trade? He doesn't have that which he needs in order to get this water. And of course, we know that Jesus is being very intentional. He's reaching out to this woman who is thirsty. And this thirst is being shown in a very scandalous lifestyle where she is very promiscuous. She is with a series of men. And the brokenness of our lives is one of the entry points. It's one of the entry points for the gospel. Brokenness looks different in different people. Some have the brokenness of alcoholism, others have the brokenness of gambling and drug abuse and all kinds of other things. Those are entry points for us to be able to share how Jesus satisfies the deepest longings of the heart. And that's the big story. Their story or your story could be this point of brokenness. Like this woman who had a scandalous past, and she wasn't even aware that her issue is that she needed living water. And this living water could not be found in men. It couldn't be found in an intimate relationship with men. It could only be found in a living relationship with the Lord. And so Jesus begins to turn, leave no stone unturned, ruffle every feather, and goes to the heart of the issue. And I want to submit to us that when we tell our stories and we are aware of how God has come into our messes, come into our brokenness, come into our own struggles, come into the sin that is resident in the human heart, and how he has liberated us out of that, that, my friends, is how we are able to effectively share the good news. I pray that like this woman, you and I will experience that which Jesus Christ was able to do. He was able to tell her about her own story. He was able to tell her that, "Go call your husband," verse 16. And then she said, "I don't have a husband." And Jesus said, "You have said correctly." And then he goes on to the heart of the issue, which is sin. And when he deals with that, that's when the woman becomes liberated. And I wonder if you have yet experienced the freedom of the Lord pointing out to you that your issue is not against the church, it's not against this one, it's not against that one. Your issue at the heart of it stems from brokenness, stems from certain things that are not the way they are meant to be. And when you and I come to terms with that and find our liberation in Jesus, then we will be able to tell our stories and to draw others in to God's story. That's my desire, that you and I will be these effective evangelists like this woman and like our Lord Jesus. May it truly be so. You've been watching CITAM Church Online.